Hello, my name is Kai, and welcome to the Theoretical YouTube channel, where, just like Pixar, no one ever seems to know what our name actually means. We're not just a channel that does theories. You could probably tell by the fact that this video isn't a theory, it's an explanation. But not just that, we do brief histories, mathematical proofs of ridiculous questions, and occasionally top 10 videos. And yeah, we do theories sometimes, but that's not the main focus of our channel. So then why the Theoretical YouTube channel? Well, just like Pixar, the answer lies before the channel was even made. I'll get to the Pixar stuff later, but when my sister was trying to convince me to make a YouTube channel with her, we would talk about it more and more, and as we did, we'd start to refer to it as our Theoretical YouTube channel. So when it came down to making it, we decided what better name than that. And so the Theoretical YouTube channel was born. But we're not here to talk about us. Even though I kinda just spent this whole intro to do just that. We're here to answer the age-old question that's not really age-old and not many people have actually been asking. What does Pixar mean, and how did it get its name? So, Pixar. The animation studio that's simultaneously able to make us laugh and cry in the first 8 minutes of the movie. Even though Pixar's an animation studio, they seem to have redefined the idea of a cartoon. Most people you'd speak about an animated movie with will probably think of it as childish and that they don't really watch them because they don't think they're well made, or because they can't connect to the characters as much as they can in sophisticated films. Or just that they're animated and that means they must be too old for them. And while that may be true for most animated movies and TV shows, Pixar is a different story. Disney Animation Studios can connect to older audiences, but at heart, their target audience is still just kids. And the same goes for DreamWorks. While they might have some adult themes, they're still made for children. And don't get me wrong, I love the How to Train Your Dragon series, and I'm always ready for something new Disney has to offer. Notice I said new. But Pixar. If you don't like or even know about the Pixar theory, you can still see how they're making these movies with adults in mind just as much as children. And if you do believe in the Pixar theory, then it gives each film a deeper connection to both each other and the audience. You, as a viewer. Every time you see the Luxo Ball, A113, or even Woody, you feel like you're in on a secret that the main characters don't even know about. But enough glorification. It's time to answer the question we set out to. What does Pixar even mean? I mean, Disney, the name of the founders. DreamWorks SKG, also the names of the founders. Spielberg, Katzenberg, and Geffen. Geffen? I don't know. But you get the idea of the company by the name. But Pixar? Honestly, if I'd never heard of it and someone told me there was something called a Pixar, I'd probably think it was a laser gun that turns out just to be a lame plastic toy with lights on it. But I guess if I'd also never heard of our all-powerful leaders, Disney, I'd also be a little confused too. But at least that can be explained off pretty easily. Hey man, have you heard of this new thing called Disney? No, I haven't. What is it? It's a movie company. Oh, why do they call it that? The founders' names were Walt and Roy Disney. Cool. What kind of stuff do they do? Oh, you know, the basics. Animated movies, superhero movies. They do own Star Wars. They're making those now. They've got a few music companies. They put on theatrical productions. They've got a few Broadway shows. They own a few television stations. Disney Channel, Disney XD, Disney Junior, ABC, Freeform, A&E, and ESPN. They've got a radio station called Radio Disney. They own the Muppets. That's a franchise. They have a bunch of publishing companies like Hyperion, Disney Press, Disney Editions, ESPN Books, and Marvel Press. And don't even get me started on the numerous parks, resorts, and cruise lines. I think that's enough for now. I get the idea. Actually, I'm gonna go through them anyway. This is kind of fun. So they have a bunch of theme parks: Disneyland, California Adventure, Downtown Disney, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, Blizzard Beach, Typhoon Lagoon, Paris Disneyland, Hong Kong Disneyland, Shanghai Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, about 5 resorts for each of those, and a few Disney cruise line ships: the Disney Magic, the Disney Wonder, the Disney Dream, and the Disney Fantasy. Yeah. Boats? Mm-hmm. Hmm. Wow, I don't know how I've never heard of them before. Me neither, man. They've been around for like 90 years. Well, we kind of drove that bit into the ground, didn't we? Yeah, Steve, can you edit that down a bit? Who are you talking to? We can't afford an editor, let alone one named Steve. We can't even afford two actors. You and I are the same person. What? My life is just one big lie? What am I doing here? Well, that was like super meta. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, the name. If we want to find out where Pixar got its name from, we have to look, of all places, at Lucasfilm and a man named Alvy Ray Smith III. Although you may never have heard his name before, Smith was very integral in the creation of Pixar Animation Studios. He started his career in the field of animation at a time when you literally had to be a computer programmer to do any sort of special effects. So to make the job easier for him and everyone else, he and another guy named Edwin Catmull founded the Lucasfilm Computer Division, and that created the world's first 3D rendering software, RenderMan. Before this, you'd have to type a bunch of code to do every piece of every effect you wanted to add into your image. But now, every effect was at your fingertips. You just had to click a button. Essentially, computer graphic editing went from looking like this to looking like this, revolutionizing the industry. One of RenderMan's first uses was in a short film called The Adventures of Andre and Wally B, which was, get this, the debut of John Lasseter, the chief creative officer of Pixar itself and the head of Walt Disney Animation Studios up until the end of this year. The first full-feature film to use this software was Star Trek II, Wrath of... Yeah, that one. But more specifically, the Genesis demo. This scene was directed and created by Smith, and although it doesn't seem so impressive, what would have taken a group of animators weeks to finish took him a matter of days. Without RenderMan, this scene wouldn't look nearly as good and may have even been cut from the movie to save production time. And from then on, RenderMan took off, being used and responsible for 27 of the last 30 Oscars in the visual effects category. But what does any of this have to do with the name Pixar? Well, what good is a software if you don't have a computer to use it with? Because back in the 1980s, people apparently didn't carry around their own personal laptops everywhere they went. In fact, most people didn't even have their own computers at home. Crazy, right? So along with RenderMan, they were able to create a machine that they could load images into and then mess around with them digitally. But what should they call it? It was Smith who made the first suggestion. Having grown up in New Mexico, it was natural that Spanish was a second language to him. So what he decided to do was create a new Spanish verb that means to make pictures. In Spanish, all infinitive verb forms have to end in either AR, ER, or IR. So, the word Smith ended up making was... Pixar. No, seriously. The word he came up with was Pixar. After he suggested that to the group, another founder named Lauren Carpenter thought that the word radar sounded cool and high-tech, so they should go with something more like that. Everyone eventually agreed, and thus the Pixar imaging computer was born. Huh, that's actually pretty anticlimactic. They give it a name, and then change it to sound like radar, because that's cooler. Kind of lame. But that's not the end of the story. Well, it's kind of the end of the story. When Pixar became its own company instead of just being owned by Lucasfilm, they needed to come up with a name. It was at a pool party at Carpenter's house where they eventually decided on the name, where they would do tests such as the telephone test, where they would pretend to pick up a phone and say, "Hello, this is Kai from Pixar Animation Studios. How can I help you?" And that's when they all agreed that Pixar was perfect. And that's the true ending to the story of how Pixar was named. But what do you think? Did you find the story fascinating like me? Or did you already know all of this and I should rethink all of my life decisions up to this point? Whatever it is, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And while you're down there, consider the simple act of liking the video, subscribing to this channel, and clicking that little bell icon so you know when we release a new video. But it looks like that's all we have for you today. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.